Salut tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. Je vous retrouve aujourd'hui pour une petite exclusivité sur M2 Gaming puisque je me suis rendu il y a de cela quelques jours à Toronto dans les locaux d'Ubisoft afin de rencontrer l'équipe de développement du jeu. Je vous le dis, c'était à Toronto, c'était pas Disney et c'était pas à Los Angeles. Comme je vous le disais, j'ai pu donc assister à cet événement qui a duré près d'une journée. On a pu découvrir les coulisses du développement du jeu. On a pu notamment assister à une mise en scène d'une scène qu'on va retrouver justement dans le jeu. On a pu rencontrer l'actrice Amberly Gonzalez, donc qui incarne Cayz dans Star Wars Outlaws et qui nous a notamment fait part de sa grande fierté d'incarner un personnage de fiction dans Star Wars, qui est une série qui lui tient beaucoup à cœur. Ensuite, en exclusivité, j'ai pu m'entretenir pendant quelques minutes avec Navid, Kharavi, le directeur narratif du jeu, où j'ai pu lui poser plusieurs questions, notamment sur le choix de Cayz en tant que personnage principal, si selon lui, le jeu pourrait correspondre justement à des gens qui n'aiment pas ou qui ne connaissent pas la saga Star Wars. Donc voilà, j'ai pu, comme je vous l'ai dit, m'entretenir avec lui, et il a répondu à toutes mes questions sans langue de bois, et je vous laisse la découvrir tout de suite. First question, what inspired the story for Star Wars Outlaws?
Oh, well, I think what inspired the story for Outlaws really goes back to our first meeting with Lucasfilm, which was we knew that we wanted to focus on the scoundrel archetype, sort of the scoundrel fantasy. So much you can do with the blaster and modules and all sorts of things. And then when we met with Lucasfilm Games, they were saying, well, there's this very sweet spot, this period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, when the underworld is really kind of thriving in the chaos of the Empire versus Rebellion battle that's going on. And so that really kicked things off because, you know, once we realized we were on the scoundrel archetype, once we knew we wanted to do an underworld story, Cayz kind of emerged from that as a character, as someone, you know, who is a thief, you know, a scoundrel, and also a rookie. You know, someone who is new to the underworld, that when she gets, she has a job go wrong and a bounty lands on her back, when she goes off to try and pull off this heist that is going to secure her freedom, you get to experience that as a rookie as well. So there's so many facets to it, but the biggest one, I think, was that you get to go on this journey in becoming sort of an underworld legend a little bit.
Yeah, of course. I also want to know what games, of course, inspired you for Star Wars Outlaws.
What other games?
Yeah, other games.
So many. I mean, it's going to sound naive, but I have been playing. I'm really drawn to the classic Star Wars games as well. So Shadows of the Empire, the old Super Star Wars games. But I think for us, what we really wanted to focus on was, you know, kind of the open world aspects of what we could do in a Star Wars game. You know, games like Ghost of Tsushima, I've been talking a lot, can you tell? You know, these games that capture the spirit and the setting and the aesthetic, you know, and also within Ubisoft, you know, I've worked on many Far Cry's, I've worked on a lot of brands, and our team has been developing open worlds for so long that I think the idea of taking all that knowledge and pooling it into how do we make as authentic a Star Wars open world as possible. So everything from the cantinas, you know, being able to walk in and meet all sorts of shady characters, that feeling when you first get on the speeder and you're blasted. I mean, you experience it when you take off across the open world, all those details, the wildlife, the fauna, flora, the demographics of these planets, the biomes, you know, all of that really came together. And I think, you know, there's a lot of experience on this team to pull it off.
Of course. I wanted also to know, what did you think about people who don't know much about the Star Wars franchise? Like me, for example. Do you think we will love the game and we will be, I will say, we will need or want to see the other films, for example?
It's a great question. So we really tried to approach this from the fact of, or from the perspective of, you don't have to be a fan. Okay. And or at least you don't have to even know anything about Star Wars to get into this. And the reason for that is this is a new angle, right? This is a side of Star Wars that's really only been seen in the comics. It hasn't been seen much in films and games. So like I was saying, as a rookie scoundrel, as Cayz, someone who is new to this, it's a perfect gateway into the Star Wars galaxy, right? So even when it came to some of the maybe iconic characters that we used, like Jabba or Lady Kira, it's still from the perspective of someone who's never met them before. So you're going to learn who they are. It's going to all bleed together in this kind of tapestry of narrative and world building. And we were very careful to kind of be authentic and respect, and honor what came before, but also trying to bring something new for those who might not know anything about Star Wars. It's a balance, but we were very careful about it.
Yeah, it's excellent. And also, I would like to know why did you pick Cayz and not another character, for example? Just why Cayz?
Well, I think it all goes back to relatability and authenticity. Cayz sort of emerged naturally from this notion of someone who is struggling to survive and trying to find their place in the galaxy, find who they really are. And I think that is an angle that I think a lot of us can relate to. It's not about being a Jedi wielding a lightsaber and, going on, kind of being the chosen one. It's not that. It's something much more on the ground, and that notion of relatability and connection was super important to us. And I think we really built Cayz to represent that, so that, and the other characters as well who she interacts with, like ND5, for example. This is a battle droid that, maybe fought in a lot of wars, but in this context, he's also scraping by to survive. And it's like these ideas that I think everyone can relate to, and that was really important to us.
Perfect. And we haven't played the game yet, so we don't know how it will end, but I would like to know if you are thinking about sequel if the game is successful.
Oh, my brain is on August 27th, early access, and then August 30th. That we do have a great kind of season pass as well. So that was recently announced, which is super, super exciting. So the first, we have one DLC focused around Lando Calrissian, which one of my favorite characters growing up. So it's been a dream to approach. And then also another season pass, another DLC focused on the sort of pirate fantasy. And there's a character named Hondo Ohnaka, who's known as the Pirate King. So we tried to focus it around characters and new, interesting folks that Cayz could play off of. So there's plenty of content to experience right now.
Of course. Do you think that making an open world is a risky choice or not?
We never looked at it from that perspective. Truthfully, it was only just an opportunity in a sense that the timing just felt perfect. And I mean that, I don't mean to sound naive, but we have been working on open worlds for so long and developing them and going into just the nitty gritty of how do you author a world from the ground up. Taking that and combining it with the Star Wars galaxy, it just felt organic and very natural. And so it's a really interesting thing when you're starting on open world game, because at first it seems, no pun intended, massive. At first it seems very daunting, but once you start getting into building the layers, like I said, of the biomes, what are the demographics, what are the characters, the experts, the gunslingers, the folks that populate these worlds, it really just flows organically. So I think we have a fantastic team. We have a great world director in Chloe Hamoud, and just some really, really fantastic folks that have put their heart and soul in this. So it was never really from the perspective of risk. It was always like, this is an amazing opportunity, and we have the talent and the craft to pull it off.
Perfect. So last question,
is the game how you imagined it from day one?
It's better.
Perfect.
Better. I mean, there is, and I'm not trying to be facetious, there is an unbelievable feeling, and I just finished the game once again. I can't count how many times. And when I was playing it, like, I just was like, this is it. This is what it feels like to step into Star Wars. So it's, you know, I was telling someone else, at a certain point when we got even just the hyperdrive working in the game and you could jump planets, I was just spamming between planets because, like, this is what I've always wanted. So it truly is everything I could have hoped for and more.
Voilà, comme vous pouvez le voir, Navid Kharavi est vraiment très confiant pour son jeu. Reste maintenant à savoir le verdict final. De toutes les manières, on est en train de tester le jeu chez M2 Gaming et on vous proposera justement le test le plus objectif possible concernant Star Wars Outlaws. Ensuite, les joueurs pourront se faire également un premier avis lors de l'accès anticipé le 27 août prochain, avant que tout le monde se fasse une idée sur le jeu le 30 août prochain. Je vous rappelle que le jeu sortira donc sur PS5, Xbox Series XS et sur PC. Voilà, c'était tout pour moi. J'espère que cette petite exclusivité vous aura plu. Si c'est le cas, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner si ce n'est pas encore fait, de liker notre contenu si bien évidemment celui-ci vous plaît, car ça ne fait que nous aider pour mieux être référencés. Quant à moi, je vous dis à une prochaine vidéo. Salut, ciao ciao.
Buy your freedom. This job, it's a death wish. I'm in. Out here, you live and die by your reputation.